Okay, the last practice that I want to do is I want you to work along with me to draw this figure in this pose because we're going to practice making clothing with our Sketch and Wash pencils. So turning a colored image into black and white, also using all that we've learned about using the Sketch and Wash pencil, adding texture, adding value, and everything we've learned about drawing the human figure. So this is kind of our final practice that we're going to do together. I will show you how I'm going to do it. You can draw along with me, or you can just watch and then try it yourself. So try to make the figure about as big as it is, if not even bigger, on your sketchbook, in your sketchbook. And as always, we're going to start with the head. So the head is kind of tilted down. So I'm going to angle the head down. I'm just going to really lightly sketch, not with a pencil first, but just with my Sketch and Wash. What I want to show you is how you can build up a drawing from sketching lightly to using the Sketch and Wash pencil for the clothing. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is figure out our action line. So the action line, he has this torso, his leg, and then his other leg. So I'm going to draw the action line going down at an angle. I'm going to kind of map out where his shirt starts because that's where his hips are. And that way I know where I'm going to start my leg, what angle it's going to go at, and where the shoe is. So the other leg comes out up and down. Do you see how I'm looking at how the shoe is right across from the knee? So I want to try to make that the same, and the second shoe angles up like that. So this is kind of my action line. And then I also want to maybe map out like shoulders, where the elbows are, where the wrists are, just like we did with our mannequin drawings. Okay, so now it's basically connect the dots, but as I'm drawing, I want to look at my person here. So he's got his shoulders here that come down to his elbows. Now, the other thing I want to talk about today is negative space, the space in between what we're drawing. So I want to make sure that I have to create this little triangle here, and that will show me how big to make the torso. So do you see how I've made kind of a similar triangle here? Now, hands are going to be kind of tricky, and I'm fine with you just using ovals, but if you want to work on kind of getting better at sketching hands, you can sketch in the hand and what position it's making really lightly. Okay, his other shoulder's over here, and this elbow, when I look at it compared to the other one, it's slanted down, so I think I have it where it's supposed to be. I'm imagining this person standing up straight and seeing if, when he stands up straight, does he match the proportions that I've learned how to do? Okay, and then the red shirt comes down at an angle and goes just a little bit lower, so I'm going to make it longer. I'm not even going to erase, not worried about it. He's got like this collar here, the neck comes up to the head. Again, not worrying about erasing if I make a mistake. That's the beauty of sketching. Okay, now let's work on these legs here. Are they half of the body? Pretty much. All right, so I'm going to check my proportions. All right, they're halfway down, so I know I'm not making them too short. Okay, look at the pants. So we have this kind of negative space here. So I want to make sure that I emulate that in my drawing. There's all these creases on the pants I'm going to add in. And then they come up to the torso. Just going to kind of sketch in the shoes, not worried about too much detail. This knee comes up. To make sure that the legs are even to each other And I'm using that first line that I drew, that action line, kind of as my skeleton. It's making sure that I'm keeping my figure in proportion. Okay, so I think I've got it mapped out. I'm not going to erase anything. I drew light enough where I think I can shade in and use the Sketch and Wash pencil to kind of add some of these details. So I'm going to look in where this figure is really dark and his shoes are really dark, so I'm going to go ahead and shade those in. I'm not going to add the water until the very end. Again, please pause this as you work because it's going to be helpful. All right, for the pants, I don't want to make them as dark as the shoes because they'll just disappear, but they have all these creases in them and all these folds. So I'm going to look at my picture and see, okay, what details can I add that'll make it look like fabric? There's pockets here, maybe I draw some of those in, and there's all these creases in the clothing that I want to add. It's got cargo pants on. Didn't know these even existed anymore. That's all I'm going to do with the pants, because I know when I start to use my Sketch and Watch pencil, it's going to kind of blend all of that in. Okay, the shirt, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to figure out, okay, there's a collar here. And a sleeve. I'm going to make it rounded so it looks like he's wearing it. And I might just add a light value to the shirt just so it's different than the pants. There's some creases in the shirt that I'm going to add darker, and then I'm just going to do a light wash just so it's maybe a little bit darker than the pants. I know in the picture it's red, so I'm just choosing a value that I want to use for the shirt. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is map in his hair. So I'm going to figure out where his hairline is and then just add in the texture. And you can decide if you want to add in the headphones too. I'm just going to leave them blank. Now, obviously I could adjust things and work on his face, but this is a figure drawing lesson. So I think I'm happy with the way it looks this way. Okay, so now we're ready for water. I'm going to start with my darkest value, which were the shoes. I'm just going to kind of sketch in over the top of the shoes to blend in all of those values really, really lightly, nothing crazy. I'm trying to stay within my lines. Then I'm going to move up to the pants. And as I move, I want to be careful that I'm staying within my lines and I'm blending into the white space without getting rid of my shadows. So this is why we're practicing, because it definitely takes practice. I barely press down on my brush. It's almost like I'm just lightly tickling the paper and just kind of moving that pigment that I put down around to fill in the space. I'm going to move on to his shirt here. I'm putting a little bit too much water on my brush, I'm realizing. So I'm going to not dip my brush again until I feel like I've spread out this water. Okay. And this is made out of fabric, so I'm okay that it's not a solid color, but you can see some of the places where I added shadows. All right, I'm gonna fill in his arms with just water, and as I do that, it's gonna grab the pigment from the outside edge just to give it a value. I'm going to do the same for his face. And then finish up with his curly hair. And voila. Do the best you can. Try it out. If you want to try a different figure after you do one, this is really good practice with our Sketch and Wash pencil.